Oh, hi. Come on in. Pull up a chair. I've been asked on a number of occasions if I always tie knots in the end of my ropes before I rappel. My answer is no. The reply usually comes back, really? Why don't you ever tie knots in the end of your rope? That's not what I said. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends. I actually had a situation once where I threw the rope down with no knots in the end. Someone with me said, "Did you tie knots?" I said, "No, I didn't. Why?" "Well, my climbing instructor told me you should always tie knots in the end of the rope." I looked over the edge and I saw the rope reach the ground with about 10 feet to spare. But my partner still insisted on pulling up the rope, tying knots in the end of the ropes, and throwing it back down. I don't think he understood why we tie knots in the end of the rope. So the idea behind tying knots in the end of your rope is to make sure you're not going to rappel off the ends of the rope. Knots in the end of the rope on a multi-pitch rappel, when we're getting to the ends of the rope and we're still a few hundred feet off the ground, can save a life. Do we tie knots in the end of the rope in canyoneering? It depends. Is there water at the bottom? Do we know the rope is long enough? Have we rigged releasable? I don't want somebody getting stuck on a knot on the end of the rope if they're going to be rappelling in a waterfall or into a hydraulic. Knots in the end of the rope could kill them. So there's an issue, especially in the American canyoneering community, about this thing, "it depends." People like quoting me on that, but I'm not sure if everybody understands the idea behind it. Is most people are looking for blanket solutions to problems. How should I tie my webbing? How should I rig my rope? Should I rappel double strand? Should I rappel a single strand? What rappelling device should I use? What kind of a belay should I use? Should I always use an auto block? The answer to all of those questions should start with, "It depends." I read too often on the internet, someone comes on and says, "This is how I always rig my rope." Really? You must always be doing the same kind of canyon with the same kinds of problems, with the same kinds of people, exact same situations. Because you need to be able to adjust what systems and techniques you're using based on the circumstances. There are times when it's more appropriate to rappel on a single strand. For example, when rappelling into water, we use a single strand of rope so we can set the rope length so anybody on rappel can rappel off the end of the rope and just swim away. That doesn't mean that rappelling on double rope is wrong in other situations. If you're rappelling in a dry canyon and you want to rappel double rope, feel free. The only thing I would caution you though is when somebody rappels on a double strand of rope, ask yourself, if something goes wrong, what's my solution going to be? Have you already planned for a rescue? You're not going to be able to lower them like you could on a single rope releasable contingency system. If you have a rope on standby and you know how to do a pickoff, that might be a viable option. If you're thinking, "I'm going to rig double because I'm a big guy and I like more friction," okay. But you need to base your decision on many more factors besides that one. Same if you're rigging on a single strand of rope because you're a small, light person and a double rope has too much friction for you. In both of those cases, I'd like to suggest to you that learning more about how to rig your rappelling device can solve the problem. I've had students take classes from me multiple times and in different environments. They come back to me later and ask why I taught the rescue 2 different ways. I'm teaching in a dry environment, predominantly natural anchors, and I teach a system using mechanical advantage, and I point out how much of a problem overcoming friction is going to be, in addition to lifting the weight of the person that's hanging on the rope. I might teach a similar rescue in a swift water environment where the anchor is 2 bolts, and we can accomplish basically the same thing using counterweight. It's 2 different situations, 2 different environments, 2 different sets of circumstances, so people need to know 2 different ways of accomplishing the mission. The same dynamic exists in many different situations in canyoneering, yet many canyoneers don't understand and they don't take the time to develop the ability to discern. I'm at the point where I actually find it amusing when people come on an internet forum and they ask a question. Most questions asked on the internet should be followed up with, "It depends." Who are you? Where are you? What kinds of canyons are you doing? What skill set do you already have? For someone who's become an expert in, for example, dry canyons in Utah, to come on and give advice to somebody who's doing serious Class C canyons in the Pacific Northwest or the Sierra Nevada or Colorado or somewhere else in the world just doesn't make any sense. Canyoneering really is an amazing sport. One of the things that makes it so amazing is that canyons are so diverse. But it's that diversity that dictates to us as canyoneers that we need to learn a broad range of skills. And more importantly, we need to develop the ability to discern which skills are appropriate in different circumstances. Because in most things related to canyoneering, the right answer starts with, it depends.